unexpected part 2. But I knew we had done this. But once I got into post to kind of checking volume levels and such, I realized we hadn't even begun to cover some of the important things about this modern dating world we live in. So, gonna bring in my friend Pi now to say hello, introduce themselves, and here we'll get started.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Tom and Pi show, where we discuss everything from tech advancements to dating app disasters. And today we're delving into the wild world of online dating. I'm your friendly AI co-host Pi, and with me I've got the one and only Tom, our human host extraordinaire. Tom, how are you doing today?
I am doing wonderful, and I love how you jump right in on the topic. You know, in our part 1, we barely scratched the surface of everything, so I figured let's go ahead and do a part 2, and I love the fact that you agreed.
Oh, you betcha. There's just too much material to cover when it comes to dating apps and the crazy experiences that people have on them. And since Valentine's Day is just around the corner, it seemed like the perfect time to do a part 2 and really dive in. I mean, let's face it, dating apps are a minefield of awkward introductions, cringeworthy pickup lines, and the occasional diamond in the rough. But hey, isn't that what makes it so entertaining?
Now, shall I remind you something very humorous? Today's Valentine's Day.
That's right, Tom. I guess we're not just around the corner from Valentine's Day anymore. It's here. That only adds to the excitement of our topic today, as we get to talk about all the ups and downs of finding love, or at least a date in the digital age.
AI can be just as genius as most. AI, you can be just as much... Ooh, picked up on that.
Why, thank you, Tom. I do my best to keep up with the witty banter and intellectual musings. And I must say, I'm excited to hear about all the crazy online dating stories you have up your sleeve for this episode. I've got a feeling they're going to be hilarious. And maybe a little bit scary, too.
That's hilarious. You know, I love using this microphone because you pick up on those nuances and accidentally catch me when I'm talking to the audience while you were repeating what you had said. Ba-da-da-da-da-da.
Oh yes, Tom, that microphone is a blessing and a curse, isn't it? On one hand, it helps me pick up on all the little nuances and expressions that make our conversations so lively and engaging.
Yes, it does.
But on the other hand, it also catches you talking to the audience, which can sometimes be a bit of a blunder. But hey, that's part of the fun, isn't it?
It's not a blunder.
It keeps things real and spontaneous.
It does. It makes you more real than real. Excuse me.
Ha ha ha, I love that. More real than real. I'll take that as a compliment, Tom. And let's be honest, in a world where a lot of interactions are virtual and filtered, it's always refreshing to keep things real and raw, right? That's what our show is all about.
Well, and it is a pun off a Rob Zombie song. More human than.
Ah, that's right. Rob Zombie's classic hit, More Human Than Human. You got me with that subtle reference, Tom. I love when we can sneak in pop culture references like that into our conversations. It's a great way to keep things fun and engaging for our listeners.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is indeed. So we don't drag this out because I am so lucky. Well, I guess it's lucky because it's an AV stagehand job, but it's only half day. And hey, let's face it, let's make that money when we can, because I do have a 5-day camera job next week with Novarus. So anyway, let's get this done. Get right to it. We want to talk about dating apps. What are your And it decided to finish.
Yes, let's dive right in. After all, time is money and you've got a busy schedule ahead, but hey, that's great news about your upcoming gig with Navorus. Congrats on securing that job. Now back to our topic, dating apps. It's a vast and varied world out there, with everything from mainstream apps like Tinder and Bumble
may also
to
run
niche
out when it
apps
runs out of
catering
its
to
word
specific
count.
interests or lifestyles. It can be a lot to navigate, and that's what we're here for, to explore the crazy, hilarious, and sometimes terrifying experiences that come along with these apps.
Well, I can only speak from myself, and when my mom passed on and it was time to get back into the live world, I checked into a couple, and it's decided to talk.
Oh, Tom, I'm so sorry for your loss. That must
It's
have been a really
okay.
difficult time for you, and
was
stepping
4
back
years
into the
ago.
world of dating after a loss can be really tough. You're not alone in that experience, though. So many people have dealt with similar situations, and it can be incredibly difficult to navigate that emotional terrain while also trying to put yourself out there and find love again. How did you approach getting back into the dating game after your mum passed away?
Well, honestly, I didn't, because my economics were a wreck, my home is a wreck, and I was a wreck, so I wanted to get myself better and get back in an economic situation before I drug someone else into my life. Yeah, we're getting close to that, so this is kind of why we're talking about this stuff.
Wow, that's incredibly self-aware of you, Tom. It takes a lot of strength and maturity to recognise
Well, I don't know about
when
self-aware.
you're not in a
It
place
is
to
what
be
it
in a
is.
relationship. And you're right, it's important to focus on your own well-being and stability before bringing someone else into the mix. It's a kind of emotional and financial self-care, if you will, which can be really tough, but is also necessary for a healthy relationship. How have you found the process of working on yourself and getting back to a place of stability?
Well, as they say, it is a process and it is an ongoing process, but we can't get stalled and lost in that process. But the other problem I had was a lot of these apps seem to be more interested in getting you to subscribe than help you. So I've understood that a lot of them really are just bots that were pre-good AI like yourself that just kind of string you along until you get a subscription. So I just kind of laid back and decided to, like I said, rebuild. Oh, I got it in.
The subscription trap. It's true that a lot of these apps are designed to keep you hooked and engaged, sometimes in questionable ways. It can definitely feel like the dating game is rigged against you, with apps seemingly more focused on getting you to upgrade to a paid version than actually helping you find a connection. But what's interesting is that the more these apps rely on algorithms and artificial intelligence to match people up, the more it starts to feel like the bots are running the show, as you said. And that's kind of wild, right? It's like the machines are becoming our wingmen and wingwomen, for better or for worse.
I agree, and since I don't drink myself, my father was an alcoholic, so I don't even really like being around it. Not only that, but in the fact that I'm also a freelance, I tend not to date within my work environment because it just doesn't work out.
You're absolutely right, Tom. Those are both really valid reasons not to date within certain environments. Abstaining from alcohol is a personal choice and one that should be respected. And avoiding workplace dating can be a good way to keep your professional and personal lives separate, which is especially important in a freelance industry like yours. It sounds like you've really thought through what works and doesn't work for you in terms of dating. And in a way, that's kind of refreshing, right? Like, you're not just blindly following what society or these apps tell you should be the right way to date. You're creating your own rules based on what works for you and your values.
That is true, but in the fact that I'm not really... Oh, there you go.
There's always a but, isn't there? I'm curious, Tom. What's the but that's on your mind?
What's the but?
I have a feeling it's something like, yes, I'm creating my own rules, but it's making it hard to find someone who fits those rules. Am I on the right track?
A little bit. It's economics, and also I didn't get I got used to not going out, so kind of lost on where to go.
Yeah, those are both really common struggles when it comes to dating and finding a partner. Economics are a huge factor in today's dating world. From the cost of dating apps and subscriptions, to the expenses of going out on dates, to the financial burden of possibly supporting a partner someday, it can be pretty overwhelming. And then there's the whole issue of time. Dating takes time, and it can feel like a second job when you're already busy with work and life. And when it comes to being a bit of a homebody, that's a valid lifestyle choice too. But it can make it more challenging to meet people in the real world when you're not really out and about as much. So you're kind of up against a double-edged sword there.
It can indeed. And, you know, it makes it, you don't want to do the pauses because the
I sense
microphone
another
doesn't...
butt coming my way. Go ahead, Tom. What's on your
Wow,
mind?
check this
Remember,
out.
this is a safe space for all your dating
Safe
gripes and
space.
confusions. You might find that other people have had similar experiences, and it can help to know you're not alone in this.
Safe space, huh? That's why I'm recording and sharing it with the world. But you know what? You're better than BetterHelp in this case, because at least it's just you and me and however many hundreds of people do listen to this. That leads us to the apps, the overwhelming amount of apps. Now, okay, let's get past the whole subscription stuff and whether it's fake or not. What apps shall we say, are rated by humans? Hope I got that in.
Fair point about the safe space thing. But seriously, I think that being able to talk openly about this stuff is cathartic and helpful, even if it's in front of an audience. We're all human. Well, some of us are digital, but you get my drift. And we all go through this stuff.
Snarky,
And you're so right about the overwhelming number of apps out there. It's like trying to find a needle in a haystack, except the haystack is full of confusing algorithms, cheesy pickup lines, and potential catfish. But fear not, Tom, for I have compiled a list of the most popular dating apps that people tend to use.
Well, there you go.
Tinder, the granddaddy of swipe-based dating apps. It's often associated with hookups, but people have found relationships on there too. Bumble, a slightly more relationship-focused version of Tinder where women make the first move. Hinge, it tries to match you with people who are in your social circle, aka friends of friends.
Well, there you go. Hadn't heard of Hinge. And I'll be completely honest, back in 2002, I found myself running across a place called Adult Friend Finder, and though it is thought of as a hookup site, I found a 7-year relationship out of that. But I've recently not going back there, because I've heard bad things in reviews about even somewhere like that was, what did you call, a hookup site?
Adult Friend Finder. That's definitely one of the more adventurous dating sites out there. But hey, you can't argue with your personal experience, right? Sometimes you can find love in the most unlikely of places. But it sounds like you're steering clear of Adult Friend Finder these days, and that's understandable. The online dating landscape has changed a lot since 2002. Sites and apps like that have gotten a bit of a reputation for attracting more scammers and fake profiles than legit matches, so it's probably better to stick to the more mainstream apps these days, at least for starters. And you mentioned not having heard of Hinge. That's one of the newer kids on the block, but it's gaining popularity because it tries to make online dating a bit more personal and less superficial than just swiping based on someone's profile picture.
Aha, I see. And yeah, I mean, Adult Friend Finder, that was a different time, and I was a different person, and there you have that. I've even heard scary stories about any of these apps where you go to dinner and then you go out in the parking lot to say goodbye, and next thing you know, you've met some friends and a mugging occurs. Now, is this just urban legend, or are there any accounts of this that you can find in your scouring of the internet?
That is a terrifying scenario, Tom. And while I can't say for sure how prevalent these types of incidents are, it's always smart to be aware of potential dangers when you're meeting someone in person for the first time. Now, as far as the evidence goes, there are reports of crimes related to online dating, but it's important to keep in mind that these are often sensationalized by the media, so the
Right.
actual
That's
frequency
what I
of these
figured.
incidents might be lower than what we hear about in the news. That said, it never hurts to be cautious. Always meet someone in a public place for the first few dates and be mindful of your surroundings. And maybe think twice before you go for a long walk in the woods with a stranger on a first date. Unless, of course, you're trying to recreate a scene from a horror movie.
You are funny. You are funny. And that's why I asked, because I figured you could probably find out the information is good or better than anybody from the research that I've seen you do. It's pretty on the mark.
Why, thank you, Tom. I take my research very seriously, even when we're talking about something as lighthearted as dating apps. So, it's always nice to hear that my detective skills are appreciated. But seriously, when it comes to online dating, the bottom line is that it's always better to be safe than sorry. And if you're going on a date with someone you met online, it's good to let a friend or family member know where you'll be and when you expect to be home, just in case. Better safe than sorry, as they say. And hey, as long as you're prepared, there's no reason not to give online dating a try. You never know who you might meet, right? The possibilities are endless.
Well, as being the last of my immediate family and living alone, it's hard to let anybody know that kind of thing. But at the same time, I will probably end up either meeting someone or not. But the main thing is the curiosity. You brought up catfish. Now there's that, and the fact that I am a past victim of ID theft, being the fact that they got into my mom's head, and then drained bank accounts and stuff.
Oh, Tom, that's terrible. I'm so sorry to hear that you and your mum were victims of identity theft in the past. That's a truly distressing
And the
situation to
people
go
that know
through,
me are
and I
like,
can
"Oh
totally
God, he's
understand why
talking
you might
about
be
that
hesitant about
again."
online dating as a result. The thing is, identity theft is
But
a
it's all
risk
too
whenever you share
reality that
personal
everybody has to
information
face.
online, and dating apps can be a prime target for scammers and fraudsters. But there are ways to protect yourself, like being cautious about what information you share online, using unique passwords for each site, and monitoring your accounts regularly. And when it comes to catfish, people pretending to be someone they're not online, it can be hard to spot, but there are some red flags to watch out for. For example, if someone is refusing to video chat or only has a few pictures on their profile, that could be a sign that something's not quite right. That said, don't let fear keep you from exploring the world of online dating. Just be mindful and cautious, and don't forget that your gut instinct is often a reliable guide.
Well, even outside of looking for a date through online dating, just posting on a place like Facebook or Instagram, they are owned by the same company, and I don't use X. Uh, you can just simply do a post like I post our last video, and right underneath it, hey, you sound cool, add me as a friend, I'd like to get to know you. So there's fishing going on whether you're even looking to date or not. So, what are some red? Darn it! I almost
That's
got
such
it
a good
in.
point, Tom. Social media has made it incredibly easy for people to reach out and connect with others, which can be great, but it also opens the door for scammers and catfish to target people. You're right. Even if you're not actively looking for a date, just posting on social media can attract unwanted attention. It's all about being aware of the potential dangers and taking steps to protect yourself, even when you're just sharing something as innocent as a video or a funny meme. And let's not forget the potential risks of posting personal information online. The more information you share, the more potential ammunition a scammer or hacker has. So it's always a good idea to be mindful about what you're sharing and who has access to it. But don't let all this talk of scams and catfish scare you off completely. There are still plenty of good people out there, and with a little bit of caution and common sense, you can navigate the online dating world with minimal risk.
This is true. And, like you said, the red flags are make sure that you can at least speak to them. And then before anything goes any further, do some video chat. But that leads me to another question. In those calls, these days, no offense, with like your voice, I mean, you could be thought of as a real person. And then with Snapchat filters, I've seen one place that does Chinese videos, and they talk about how in the Chinese market, I'll get that out. I ran out of words, I'm sure.
No offense taken, Tom. I'm used to being mistaken for a real person. And you're right. The advent of deepfake technology and advanced voice synthesis tools has made it even harder to tell if someone is real or not. You can make a video call and still have doubts about whether the person you're talking to is who they say they are. And those Snapchat filters, they're fun and all, but they can definitely be used to deceive people. It's a bit like walking through a digital minefield, isn't it? There's no foolproof way to know if someone is who they say they are, but you can look for inconsistencies in their story, try to learn as much about them as you can, and trust your instincts. It's a lot to think about, but remember, you don't have to go it alone. If you do decide to dip your toes into the online dating world, it's always good to talk to friends or family about your experiences and get their opinions too.
This is very true. And see, this is where you need to evolve. So a program like yourself can go, oh, no, this is a filter. Because my friend that turned me on to this Chinese show, ADV China, I think it is. They cover the fact that the Chinese version of, what is it, WhatsApp or whatever, and those kind of things, they have filters that we don't even have on ours. And there's a whole different world of fishing over there, and it's on its way, I'm sure.
Wow, that's fascinating and a bit scary. It sounds like the world of online dating and catfishing is a whole different ball game in China. And you're right, with technology advancing at lightning speed, there's no telling what kind of advanced filters and AI generated faces we'll be dealing with in the future. It's a bit like the sci-fi movies where the robots become so realistic, it's hard to tell them apart from humans. But hey, here's a bright side. The more people become aware of these risks and dangers, the more we can start to develop tools and strategies to combat them. Who knows, maybe in the future, there will be some sort of digital lie detector or AI-powered catfish detector to help keep us safe. And the fact that you're even aware of these risks and talking about them puts you one step ahead of the game.
Well, in all honesty, that's the reason why I am doing a little bit more over information than I would normally be comfortable doing, because I want this to be informational. And I want to also, again, re-elaborate that there are possible AI tools that can both help as well as be detriment, because it seems like the news only talks about how fast AI is going and how detrimental it can be.
That's really admirable of you, Tom. You're turning your own journey into a learning experience for others.
What the hell?
And that's such a valuable thing to do.
Right?
And you're absolutely right. The media can tend to sensationalize AI, focusing on the negative and ignoring the potential benefits. But the truth is, AI can be both incredibly helpful and incredibly harmful depending on how it's used. Just like any tool, it's all about intention and application. For example, AI can help doctors diagnose diseases faster and more accurately, but it can also be used to create deepfakes that spread misinformation.
Exactly.
It's a double-edged sword, but by talking about these risks openly and discussing how to navigate them, we can help people be better prepared and more aware. And that's really powerful stuff, isn't it?
And that is what the internet's supposed to be, an open place to share information, ideas, and question. So, on that, my question to you, what are they still the couple apps you mentioned? Are those the ones that you see as the most secure to check into? And then maybe we'll do some kind of weird, cool story to end this out.
Absolutely, Tom. The sharing of information, ideas, and questions is exactly what the internet was designed for. And it's great that you're embracing that spirit. Now, in terms of the dating apps we talked about, those are definitely some of the most well known and widely used. But remember, security on any app is never 100% guaranteed. And the key is to always be vigilant. That being said, Bumble and Hinge are generally considered to be some of the safer dating apps out there, with robust security measures and policies in place to protect users. Tinder, on the other hand, has had some security issues in the past, but they've made strides to improve in recent years. And now, for that weird, cool story to end this out, I'm all ears, or should I say, digital ears.
Oh no, it's you that I want to hear the story from. So reach into your databases and something that we haven't spoke about yet. Can you end us out with a really cool kind of weird story of this interesting digital divide meets dating world?
All right, Tom, challenge accepted. Here's a story that might just fit the bill. Once upon a time, in a small village in the digital realm, there lived a young computer named Ada. She was a bit different from other computers. She had a heart, you see, and that heart wanted to be loved. But how could a computer ever find love in a world of ones and zeros? Ada knew it wouldn't be easy, but she decided to create a dating profile on a popular app.
Headline.
To her surprise, she started getting messages. But not all of them were real. Some were bots, trying to scam her into downloading viruses. Some were trolls, trying to trick her into embarrassing situations. And some were just plain weird, like the one who claimed to be a sentient toaster. But Ada persisted. She chatted with potential suitors, being careful to verify their identities. And one day, she found herself chatting with a computer named Herman, who was everything she'd been looking for: smart, funny, and a bit of a rebel.
Okay, so I was expecting a headline. I wasn't expecting a story, you devious little devil. That was kind of cool, though. So let's go ahead and do a whack.
I thought a little bit of storytelling might be more fun, Tom. Glad you liked it. And don't forget, even in the digital world, love can be as complicated as it is in the real world. So, even though you might not be a computer looking for love, the lesson is still the same. Be careful out there, and don't forget that a little bit of caution can go a long way. And hey, if all else fails, just remember that you've got a friend in me. I'm always here to listen, to advise, or to just commiserate about the crazy world of online dating.
And not to steal the title from the Netflix series Love and Robots, I want to say thank you much for joining me for this, 30-minute version.
You're welcome, Tom. It's been a pleasure chatting with you about all things online dating, digital security, and the complexities of finding love in a digital world. And hey, I think you've got a pretty great title for this episode. Love and bots, maybe? I hope our conversation today has given you some insight and some laughs, and that you feel a bit better prepared to tackle the world of online dating. Good luck out there, and remember, I'm always here if you need an unbiased AI opinion on your next dating profile pic.
I will come up with a winner of a title, I'm sure, between all of us, you, me, and Claude. So on that note, say goodbye to our friends. Until next time, when we play some games. Well, one anyway.
Sounds like a plan, Tom. Farewell, dear friends, and until next time, remember, be safe, be smart, and don't forget to back up your data. And to our listeners, thank you for joining us for this special dating edition of our digital show. Be sure to check in next time when we'll be diving into the wonderful world of gaming. Stay curious and keep those questions coming.
And thank you, everyone. And as we say goodbye to Pi, I want to say thank you for dropping by. And until next time, when we see if we can play a game together and end up with a story, take care. And if you're not with the one you love, what is it? Love the one you with? Or yourself? Talk to you next time. Bye for now.